The pace of digital change is continuing to accelerate. It accelerates exponentially. And if you find the digital age challenging so far, my prediction is you ain't seen nothing yet.
I think he's absolutely right. I think, it's a question of knowing that you will be penetrated, trying to work out as quickly as possible when that is, and almost putting some contingency planning in place, to deal with what, the ramifications, whatever it is in terms of cybersecurity. I don't think we can make ourselves 100% secure, so you've got to manage that insecurity, as he nicely put it this morning, within your business.
I think it is cybersecurity is everywhere. It is in the insurance, in non-insurance, in the corporate industry, and cybersecurity is an element that should be viewed not just as a technical element, but also as a human element.
I think it's rather potential than a risk, because cybercrime can be insured. You just have to price it properly. And if there is this kind of concern about cybersecurity, that could be actually the next good non-life insurance product.
One of the problems with tackling cybersecurity as a problem is the language we use. When people talk about cyber, instinctively most people think of a technological problem, and they believe therefore they can leave it to a technician to sort it out. This isn't true. Cyber is really about information. It's about what happens between networked computers. That's what cyberspace is. And what happens in cyberspace is information is passed. A whole lot of information is passed very fast. So cyberspace is all about information, and information is everyone's problem. An insurance market works on information. If the information is corrupted, then the insurance market will be corrupted. So cybersecurity, trying to deal with that problem of information insecurity in cyberspace, is the real challenge. Cyber technology is part of the digital revolution that we're living through at the moment, the fourth information revolution. And this digital technology is accelerating so fast in its power and its speed and what it can do, that it's very disruptive to existing practices. And that has great challenges, it poses great challenges across society. Why? Because some people find it easy to adapt to the changes in cyberspace and really enjoy it. They're what I'd call the digital natives. And some people find all the changes that are happening in the digital age very threatening. And they're what you might call the digital immigrants or the digital tourists, the people who are uncomfortable with the changes. And the trouble is that those differences in perception, whether you're a digital immigrant or a digital native, affects the whole power structure of the organization. So the people at the coalface, the young people, the people actually doing the job, dealing in the digital age, they're very comfortable with it. The people in charge of the organization probably don't understand it quite as well. They're digital immigrants. They don't really understand what's going on. And so you've got this tension in any organization between the old people who tend to feel threatened by the changes in digital space, and the young people who are adept at changing. And that poses real problems for the organization. It means that the leadership style, for instance, of the people in charge needs to change from being one of issuing directives more to one of listening to what's happening at the coalface, delegating authority, and allowing people to adapt to the changes according to a more overriding intent. Only in that way will an organization have the flexibility and the speed of response to cope with the changes in the digital age. Cyberspace is fundamentally an insecure medium. That doesn't mean there's nothing we can do about it. It means what we need to do actually is split the problem into two halves. The problem that everyone has to cope with, and that's basically behaving well in cyberspace. So it's about their usernames, it's about their passwords, it's about not sticking illicit technology onto their machines. It's about just being sensible about how they operate in cyberspace. And that's the basic, what I would call basic good behavior, good manners, good cyber hygiene, good behaviors. And you'll see all sorts of pamphlets from our government communication headquarters, 10 ways to ensure cybersecurity. They're all out there on the web. Just follow those moves. Even though this system isn't perfect, what that will do is get rid of a lot of the noise. An organization that has good cyber hygiene will have a much lower level of serious problems getting into their systems, which the small numbers of technicians we all have can then have a much better chance of dealing with. There's a worldwide shortage of experts in cybersecurity, so we, the non-technical specialists, need to play our part in reducing the level of risk and do our part. See, cybersecurity is a team effort, not something that can just be delegated to the technicians, to the boffins. Network computers were designed, and the whole internet was designed to give speed of information flows and easy access. The problem with that is that it ignored the fact that it has become open not just to good people, not just to people with good intent, but also to people with bad intent. And what we've been trying to do ever since devising the internet and creating the web is to retrofit security onto the problems. And when you retrofit solutions onto a problem, it's never complete. And we're in an arms race, if you like, between the guys trying to break into systems and the guys trying to protect systems. And that's a constantly evolving arms race. So we should not, in our expectations, expect cybersecurity, because it's all partial. Actually, the real question is, how do we cope with information insecurity in the digital age? How do you manage that risk? And that's a completely different level of problem to asking, how do you create cybersecurity? So just because you can't have perfect cybersecurity does not mean that we don't have to do anything about it. Actually, what it means is that our criteria for success is our preparedness. How prepared are we for an attack? With success being defined as the ability to work through an attack and come out the other side, and hopefully without anyone noticing. So at the Olympics, there were 166 million incidents. The cyber hygiene took out most of those incidents. They investigated 783 incidents, and of those 783, they actually investigated 6 serious attacks. And that shows you sort of the pyramid scale. There's a mass here that can be taken care of and ignored. It's just noise if you've got the cyber hygiene right. Then you need your boffins to investigate the tiny number, relatively tiny number, that are actually a problem. And the reason that was successful was because they'd done their training, they'd done their learning, they'd done their exercising of what could possibly go wrong. They had a culture during that business of a learning culture rather than the blame culture. So it was okay to admit, "Ooh, I did something wrong," or there was a weakness in this system, and everyone was honest about what they'd observed during that training, and that's how you learn. Because success is not having no attacks. You will have attacks. You will get penetrated. That's just the nature of an insecure medium. The challenge is, how do you prepare yourself for it? How do you rehearse for it? How do you build in redundancy into your technology so you can sacrifice certain elements and work around problems? How do you then reconfigure your system to then work into the future? So those are the much more fluid, much more risk managing criteria for success.